I'm pretty sure I've disappointed my parents, and I've completely failed to live up to the expectations of what I'm supposed to be. Perhaps being a lawyer or a doctor, an esteemed journalist, certainly would have been more preferred than a creative, right? A YouTuber? I cannot expect them to understand. It's like we come from two different worlds. I remember feeling misunderstood, feeling that maybe we're just different. And parents give you the best they can, and I get it. They want security for you. They made their sacrifices, and they want the best for you. Well, they made their sacrifices, and now I'm making mine, and everyone has to live with their decisions. However, it feels like I don't have the luxury of time for self-discovery, for figuring out what is really my purpose. And there's this pressure that I don't have the time to fail. But don't I have to fail to know what's for me? I just want to hear, you'll figure it out. I have faith in you. And all I seem to hear is, it's taking you a little too long to be successful. I learned that creativity is only admirable if it's profitable. And the higher your talent level and ambition and integrity is, the greater the expectations are. Or maybe these are only expectations that I place on myself. I can be my greatest adversary at times. Why would anyone would subject themselves to this career path? And why would anyone want to embark on a path that has the most amount of resistance and criticism? Well, our humble beginnings all lead us down to a path, in a sense of how we found a trade, a passion, a craft, or whatever avenue paved the way for the opportunity of self-expression, one that we can create from imagination. And I found that it isn't the destination that's the most rewarding, it's the journey. And in that quest, we embark on the journey of wanting to be heard and appreciated. And hopefully along the way, we find a sense of community. The numbers and the metrics and the views are all nice, and it's a blessing to have a platform to be able to monetize our ideas on. But the numbers are empty without meaning and purpose. I think the stress to monetize our ideas robs us of the enjoyment of the journey, which is a topic for another day. I told my parents that if it doesn't work out for me, then my value here on this earth is a net zero, and I'm essentially just a waste of space. I guess that was a bit harsh. And every time I try to express myself to them, it always comes out in the wrong way. And of course, that mentality was met with concern. And in that, I developed a real, well, I don't care what you think about me mentality. But it was only to protect myself. Producing art and making videos, making music, these are all the few areas in my life where I've given something of myself and received something back. And to see the flowers bloom in real time and the roots of my idea start to grow, and to see people like or gravitate to an idea and to be accepted for it, well, that type of reciprocation is the watering I needed to plant my other ideas. And that type of exchange gave me a rush of dopamine that I didn't want to release. And I was willing to deal with the ups and downs of the journey just for that hit of dopamine. So much so, I started chasing that feeling in other aspects of my life. And you know, as they say, the more you chase it, the more it runs away from you. But I didn't plan to chase this career path. It found me. And because it wasn't profitable yet, it was hard to make how I felt in my heart make sense to the world, and most importantly, my family. They always say the ones closest to you are the last ones to support you. I realized my ambitions were rooted in trauma, and I was coming from a place of lack in my life. So I chose art and content creation as a way to fill that void, so that I can continue to find my purpose. I often don't give the feedback from my parents much weight in the present. Perhaps I'm living so much in the future to really care in the moment, too invested and too obsessed. I guess you have to be a little off to pursue a career like this. Or maybe the idea of being able to put art into the world gives me a sense of belonging. Yeah, I guess that's the more healthier way of looking at it. And for so long, I dreamed of being from somewhere else than where I grew up. I just felt like I looked around, there were just closed doors and lack of opportunity. Just like we come from two different worlds. Due to how stagnant and how sectioned off our city has been for so long, lack of community and structure, and most importantly, mentors. With too much time on our hands as youth, we were surrounded by temptation. And while the clock is ticking, we were scrambling trying to get the proper resources as quick as possible. In a place where it seems that every man and woman are for themselves. What are you supposed to do when the resources aren't available? Something I can never seem to talk to my parents about. And we scramble and try to catch waves and windows of opportunity, trapped in delusion and comparison, while we try to break through without losing our integrity. And we give it a go and we fail. And then we ask why certain things are working for other people, but fall short with us. It's frustrating at times. And that's how this entire process has been since I was 18. And in being denied for so long, I learned to identify with those emotions. And I try to process them so they don't eat at me. When the doors are closing and rejections flood in, I reflect on those losses, the sacrifices, the shame, the rage, and the disappointment of not being further along than I thought I should be. I take the time to reflect, I adjust, and I keep going. And I feel a sense of pride to keep going because I know the job's not done, and I feel good about sticking to my mission. I let the emotions flow through me, and I use it as fuel. By every single metric possible, realistically, I'm not supposed to achieve these goals. I didn't get this far by being realistic and just looking at the numbers and looking at the comparisons, constantly driven by anxiety. Does that breed a toxic workaholic mentality? Well, it depends. Short answer is yes. The long answer is very complicated because in our society, mental health is not prioritized before productivity. While comparison is the thief of joy, on the other end, I see my content peers making incredible art and living a life of abundance. So on that end, I see it's possible, and on the other end, it creates a cycle of unsatisfaction if you fall short. It's taking you too long to be successful. That's all I seem to hear. But who's going to advocate for my dreams, for my goals, and for my happiness? In the heart of competition, there are over 47 million active YouTube channels. What makes me think I can be successful? It's the only thing I know, because the alternative is so much more bleak. The alternative of building towards someone else's dreams and not betting on myself. Despite society not placing value in creativity and art, especially Black creativity and art, and in facing that reality, we still fight to make a living off a career path we fell in love with. But only the strong survive, or the delusional. It's never been easier to start, but it's never been harder to cut through. But I can see in the people's eyes who are determined to do it. And those people motivate me. I can see against all odds what they are willing to sacrifice. And now they are enjoying the fruits of their labor. Art isn't just reserved for the rich, but the harsh reality is that it's not sustainable without income. And money isn't necessarily the end goal, but it is a necessary evil. But long-term happiness is the goal. To be loved is the goal. To build a community is the goal. And to avoid a life of unfulfillment. And it does get lonely because I usually just share these thoughts with myself. I've become comfortable with my pain for so long that failure comes second nature. And the failure isn't due to lack of ambition, but maybe it wasn't just my time yet. And what I thought I wanted for myself wasn't for me. And in the many losses and missteps I've had along the way, I still remain as curious and resilient as when I started. I meditate on my missteps and make adjustments. Being an artist is really a gift and a curse. And the darker my reality got, the brighter my ideas became. I guess my life had a different trajectory. And I guess I've built a different kind of relationship with failure. It's not like I chose this life. It chose me. As creatives, we see the world with a different perspective. And I'm always writing things down and reflect on the many perspectives I have. And I'm very impatient with my results at times. I want everything now, and that's just the way myself and my current generation thinks. Instant gratification. And fighting that urge for instant gratification is very difficult. I'm just a product of my generation. And finding comfort and solace in acknowledging the progress is just as important. And we call that balance. And we strive for growth. Rest and taking time to recharge are just as important. And visualizing what is achievable is important. And I see the beauty in that. I see a world that I can build and explore and be safe in. And actually, I don't see why anyone would be disappointed in that. And I like to think it's a noble goal. Lofty, but noble. And I have no problem in expressing such vulnerability in how I feel. Sure, I would love to know peace outside of this and get into a healthy relationship and spend more time with friends and family. But I won't know any peace in knowing that I failed in what I set out to do. And in that moment, I'm not hungry, relentless, and passionate. That is the moment my deepest fears become a reality. Do I envy others for being able to enjoy their lives and seem not to care about being overly ambitious and climbing the ladder, aiming to outdo themselves all the time? Well, yes. But am I regretful that I committed to this path? No. And that's something I have to live with. I miss a time when things were simpler.
Hey, hold on. No, it wasn't good enough. Okay. Oh, yeah, damn.
And I miss home. And don't none of us know what it's going to take. But I can only try and stay hopeful, to stay positive and stay delusional. And if my parents are watching, this isn't meant to criticize your parenting, more so to say that I found my calling. And at some point you had to let go of my hand and allow me the space to grow and find myself. And I just hope that my healing process will come soon after. And maybe this can reach someone who has been just as lost as I am, And hopefully these words can be the soundtrack to some of your greatest struggles and brighter moments. With love, Stilo.